Hey, what's up, everybody? So today we're going to focus on your kids. We're going to talk about how to help ease their anxiety and boost their self-esteem. I'm Risa Morimoto, your host. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, and you're watching Modern Aging, where we chat about innovative and holistic ways to elevate our health and well-being as we age. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd love for you to do so. All you got to do is click on that little red button below with that little bell next to it to be sure to be notified whenever a new episode is uploaded. I'd love for you to also check out our new brand spanking new website at thisismodernaging.com. So today, my guest is hypnotherapist Risa Ludovici. You may remember her from some other interviews that I did. We did one on what is hypnotherapy. We did another one on how to overcome negative thinking and anxiety. You can see those up here somewhere. But today we're going to focus on your kids. With the pandemic and everything, I think we've seen, we've spent so much time with our kids that we start to see behaviors in them that actually has us worried a little bit, or maybe a lot. So Lisa's going to come and share a simple technique that she's used thousands of times very effectively that will help your kids and adult children, ease their anxiety, boost their confidence and self-esteem, and be more lovable. So check it out. We are now seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. There's hopefulness in the air now. I think that we're transitioning to a new period. But with transition becomes more adjustment, and I think it also comes more opportunity to reevaluate what's going on, right? We spent so much time with our families, and now hopefully we'll get a little bit more freedom, but at the same time, those problems still exist. The anxieties still exist. The fears still exist. So today, I just wanted you to kind of help us walk through some of your processes in terms of how we can help our kids transition and ultimately, get through this. Let's go back a little bit and talk about what hypnotherapy actually is and how you treat your clients.
Sure. With hypnotherapy, we use and address the subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind, think of it as our operating system. That's the software. Our brain is the hardware. The software, the operating system, tells the hardware, the brain, what to do. And then that information goes into the body. It also goes out into the world as energy. So I want to talk about what hypnosis is, because there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of, silliness that has been brought up about what hypnosis is. Very simply, hypnosis is one of the most powerful self-help techniques known to humanity. There's nothing more powerful than the subconscious mind. And we know this through studies that show how effective the placebo effect is. Right? People are given pharmaceuticals with the actual chemicals. Some are given, a sugar pill, and we don't know how it's going to turn out because of the mind. And so think of hypnosis as focused awareness on one thing without effort. We are all going in and out of hypnosis all day long. Watching TV, after 1 minute, your brain waves slow down. You're in a state of hypnosis. When you're reading a really good book, when you're out for a long run, right? You're in that flow. Yoga class. I know I found myself in that state many times. Worrying. I call worrying self-hypnosis for something unpleasant to happen. The repetitive worry thought. The images in the mind of that worry thing that, we're so concerned with that's going to happen next Tuesday that typically doesn't happen. And we feel it in our body. Our heart starts racing, our mouth gets dry, we start getting moist under the arms, your hands are getting clammy. It's because that thought in the operating system sends the messages to the brain, and the brain says, uh-oh, we got big problems. And now your body is preparing for those problems, fight or flight. So hypnosis is a brainwave state. That's it. It's that simple. And with hypnosis, we can use repetition and imagery, metaphors to create a positive inner experience. Hypnotherapy takes that same brainwave state, focused awareness on one thing without effort, and we use therapeutic type processes to eliminate, free, transform blocks, limiting beliefs, things that keep us stuck in life. It also, we can use it for our health in every aspect. Our emotional health, physical health, which is what I specialize in, spiritual health, intellectual health. That's well-being. When we have health in those areas, that is well-being.
I've also heard that hypnotherapy is it's much faster and much more effective than, say, talk therapy in many ways. And why is that?
Great question. So it can be much faster. And here's why. Because we're using the subconscious mind. We're going right to the operating system. We're going to where the limiting beliefs are. We're going to where the trauma is. We're going to where the long-standing, unpleasant patterns live. Whatever is happening in your body is just a record of what's in your subconscious mind because of the mind-body connection. So, if we go to where the issue lives, the subconscious mind, well then we're going right to the place where we need to go to make changes. So there's a study that was done. It showed 3 different types of modalities and what percentage of success and improvement over how many sessions. And the study showed that psychoanalysis, behavioral therapy, and hypnotherapy, those are the 3 modalities. Psychoanalysis showed a 38% success in 600 plus sessions. Many years, lots of co-pays, lots of time for 38% success. Behavioral therapy did much better, 72% improvement over 22 sessions. Great. The same study showed hypnotherapy had a 93% improvement over 6 sessions. Because we're going to where these problems are, these limiting beliefs. And when we address it where it lives, it's like taking the weed at the root system and pulling it all the way out. We're not just dealing with the symptoms. And many times hypnosis can well address symptoms, but unless you deal with the root cause of chronic anxiousness, chronic fear, right? Chronic skin issues, digestive issues, immune issues. All of that lives in the subconscious mind. That's the mind-body connection. We've got to address that to be able to make changes in our emotional, physical, spiritual, and intellectual life. So we're going to the source. It is not the only way to make these types of profound changes. It is the fastest and most efficient.
I know a lot of people who could use this actually to just even understand that it's available to them. I think there's just so much mystery around it, you know?
That's right. And I think that everybody can benefit from it. I work with people who are, very well accomplished musicians. I've worked with veterans, homeless people, children, moms, inventors, doctors. I work with psychiatrists and therapists. If you're a person, there's always something that you can use to, it doesn't mean something's broken or needs fixed. I've worked with people who say, I want to learn a foreign language faster. Okay. I want to do better on tests. I work with guys on Wall Street. They've been men, that's why I say guys, on Wall Street taking their tests for additional credentialing. And truly anybody, if you have a goal, this can help you achieve it. If there's something standing in the way of the goal, this can help you eliminate it and be able to reach what you're going after, what you're here to do in this world a little bit easier. And a lot of it is about eliminating the blocks and the limiting beliefs and old patterns that we don't even know we're running on because they started long ago. They started sometimes in utero, birth till about 7 years old. At about the age of 7, we're locked and loaded with our beliefs, the beliefs about who we are in relation to other people, beliefs about other people, and beliefs about the world and our place in the world. And that basis is our self-worth, our self-esteem. And every part of our life layers right on top of that.
So, which actually is a great segue because I feel like, this past year, parents have seen more than they've seen their children probably since they were babies.
Yeah.
And there's probably some good sides and some not so good sides that they've seen of their kids. And I think
Yeah.
every parent wants their child to grow up to be good human beings, right? To be healthy, to be
Sure.
happy. And they probably see some cracks already happening, right? That your son is overly fearful of something or anxious about this or is extremely lonely because they can't spend time with friends anymore. And so I know we had talked about some techniques that you use. I feel like actually it's not even for children. It can, be used for adults as well.
Absolutely. And what I am so excited to share today, I do this in one form or another every session I've done in the past 11 years. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of sessions. It is very effective on children. Change can happen very quickly. It is so easy. It is so easy. Anybody can do it. Now, we all want our children to grow up with a solid understanding of their value, of just being a valuable person because they were born. They matter. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to have a certain title or a certain size house. They don't have to wear something specific to have value as a living being, to matter. And our world tells us differently, especially these days with social media, because it's telling us, look like this, act like this, do this. And that can really chip away at self-worth. Well, I'm not as good as they are, right? And a lot of times fear shows up, anxiousness. They lose interest in things. They lose interest in learning. They start developing self-defeating behaviors and ways of being, right? And it might show up as a habit of sucking your thumb at 7, biting your nails, right? Not having a lot of emotional, being afraid of their emotions, right? And so
Well, the parents
there's a
too.
lot. Say that again?
The parents as well.
Well, toughest job in the world, raising another human being, being a parent. And a lot of what that child learns, they learn by watching. That's how they learn. They don't learn by being told something at 3, 4, 5 because they don't have a conscious analytical mind yet to say, oh, I get what that means. I get what she's saying. They watch, and that's how they learn. They're like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm brand new on earth. Like, what's going on? Oh, they're standing on legs and they're what? That's how we learn, is watching. We're modeling, we're watching, we're listening. And so we're a result of our environment. And many times when people do bring their children in, which I find is a huge compliment and is such an honor that people would trust me to that degree. Many times it's the parent that would benefit from sitting in the chair and having the session. And that's not because they're bad, they're wrong. It's because there's some things from your childhood, probably, or earlier in life, some patterns, some beliefs that you may need to transform and heal, because really your kids are a result of what's going on around them and the messages that they hear and the things that they see. We pick up on everything. So, again, hardest job in the world, you know? So, how to build and support your child's self-esteem. Simple. We're going to call it a hypnotic brainwave state. We are in a hypnotic brainwave state in utero till about the age of 7 years old, which means everything around us, everything that we see, we experience, we hear, we smell, we taste, we just take it in like a sponge. And that becomes our map of the world. We don't say, wait a second, I got a question about that. We just take it in. Oh, that must be how women are. That must be how men are. That must be how, people in relationships are. This must be what it's like to have a friend. And that just becomes our map of the world. We don't question it. We don't have that ability to do so. So, we're in this hypnotic state till about 7. Let's use it and help children build self-esteem. Here's how. Super, super simple. We're going to address 3 basic needs that humans must have. There's 3 out of 5. We're going to address 3 very important ones. One is your esteem, your self-worth. The other one is the need for belonging and safety. We need this as human beings. Right? Back in the day, it was very dangerous to be the lone wolf, an individual. You moved in packs, you moved in groups, because there were, I'm talking, thousands and thousands of years ago, where you couldn't be out on your own. We're not supposed to be out on our own, right? So, we're going to address safety, belonging, and self-esteem. And we're going to do it 5 minutes a night, per child, consistently. I recommend from the day you find out you're pregnant till their 10th birthday. Okay? Today is always a great day to start, even if you're somewhere in between there. So this is what you do. When the child goes to sleep, so you tuck them in, you say goodnight, leave. About 20 minutes later,
20 minutes after they're asleep.
When they're in a light sleep, you go into their room quietly, set the intention that you're going in to give them a gift. You're not going in with the intention of, how long is this going to last? I got to go, that show's on, or I got to make a phone call, or I got to, you walk in with the intention that you are giving this human being the greatest gift that you can give them. That's very important, to walk in with that energy you are giving. And you place your hand very gently, either, on their back, their arm, side of their head, whatever's kind of sticking out, right, of their covers. And you deliver messages to their subconscious mind. And you say, you are lovable. You are safe. And if this is appropriate, Mom and Dad are so proud to have you in their family. You are lovable. You are safe. Mom and Dad are so proud to have you in their family. You are lovable. You are safe. Mom and Dad are so proud to have you in their family. And then you repeat it 3 times again with the child's name. Risa is lovable. Risa
And you're saying
is
this out loud.
Yes, softly out loud, right? So it's audible, but it's soft. Their subconscious mind just takes it all in, just takes it all in. And those become the beliefs. those become the foundation of who that person is. And then after the first time of saying it in the second person, you are, then you say it in the third person 3 times each in the child's name. In a very short period of time, you're going to notice some changes. And once you notice the changes, you can allow yourself to smile. Don't stop. Do it again that night and the next night and the next night. And whoever the caregivers are and the guardians in the home, all should be involved, meaning someone does it every night, but it's not always that same person, right? So if you have two parents in the house, they each do it. Switch off. Switch off. Now, I have taught this to so many people, and the outcomes, my jaw just falls every time I hear these outcomes. Okay, a couple that I'd like to share with you. A couple came to me and said, our little girl, she's just so precious and loving, and, she wants to make sure everybody's happy. Uh-oh. She's sweet. Great. Well, she also was being bullied at school. She was 5. That she wants to make everybody happy. She wants to be pleasing. That could look quite dangerous in many different scenarios, at the detriment of her. So I taught this technique. They did it for about 3 weeks, and their child started talking to them about school. Before, she spoke nothing about school, didn't want to talk about it. Started talking about school, started talking about, a friend or two she had, started being more engaging. Wasn't always so, okay, is everybody okay? I'm 5, I need to make sure everybody's okay, and I got to do things so that I'm liked, and right. So a sense of self, a sense of worth that showed in all of these different ways. I was working with a woman who came to me for migraines, and she said, my son gets up like 5 every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I just need an extra 45 minutes because I know if I get the extra 45 minutes, my head doesn't hurt as much. And we were working on those sessions, but that was one of the first things she said. And I was like, okay, we can do something real quick about that. And so I taught her to go in, do these steps, and we added another suggestion. And it was, you now sleep easily and comfortably all night long until about 6 a.m. Waking and sitting in your room quietly, right? Now, if this little boy wakes up and instead of running to mom, he wakes up, he feels good. He can grab his book and play with it. It's okay that he's alone in his room. He feels okay about that. And so about a week later, I got an email from her, and she said, I woke up and my son wasn't standing at the foot of my bed, pulling on my covers. And she thought, well, this is strange. She's like, I wasn't even thinking about the work that, I was doing at night with him. She said, I walked into his room. He was sitting there playing quietly, all by himself.
Wow. What's the difference? What's the effectiveness of doing it when they're sleeping versus when they're awake? Like, you can tell your kid you're lovable and you're safe.
Yeah. Excellent. Most of the times we don't talk that way. You are lovable. You are safe. Mommy and daddy are so proud to have you in their family. That's the sense of belonging. We don't speak that way. We say, I love you. Ooh, I'm proud of you. Okay, well, that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with you. You love me. That doesn't say anything about my worth. It says, this is how you feel about me. Those are 2 different things. We can be adults and walk into a room and say, my mommy and daddy love me. And people are like, okay, fine, you're 35 years old, sit down, the meeting started, right? That's not going to work out really well for us. It's different when that 35-year-old walks into the room and says, thinks, knows, I am lovable. simply because I exist. Because I was born, I'm lovable. I am worthy. I am good enough. That's going to be a very different scenario than mommy and daddy love me. And it's walking into a room knowing that you are lovable and you matter, you're valuable, simply because you are alive and you're a human being, just like the rest of us. There's no, you're more valuable, you're more lovable, you're better, you're worse, you matter, you don't matter as much, I matter more than you, right? So a lot of times when we don't feel worthy, we then say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm a little more successful than that. You can go into a lot of different slippery slopes with that. When you have a solid sense of your own self-worth, you're resilient. You're proud of yourself. That's not boastful. You have pride in yourself.
Can you do that as a form of self-hypnosis as an adult and just
Sure.
meditate on, I am lovable, I am safe?
Absolutely, you can. Here's the difference once you get past 7.
The age of 7.
Yeah. So now you're sitting down and you're saying these things to yourself, which I highly recommend every single human being do it. You say it to yourself, I am, right? Lisa is. Those are the ways that you do it when you do it for yourself. Now, here's that little monkey mind says, yeah, what about that thing that happened when you were a senior in high school? Not so much. Yeah, well, guess what? This person told you that you weren't. This person called you an idiot. Oh yeah, maybe I'm not lovable, right? There's that conversation that goes on. Now you can say these things to yourself as an adult 50,000 times a day for the next 10 years. Probably not going to get you too far. Now at this point, we got to go back and we got to clean up through hypnotherapy these patterns, these old limiting beliefs that are blocking us from knowing and believing and living from the fact that because I breathe and because I was born, I am lovable, I matter, I am worthy. There's too much life has happened
Right.
between birth and 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I've worked with 95-year-olds. And those beliefs will always beat out the positive suggestions in the mind. Those are very helpful. We got to go to the weed and the unhelpful patterns, the blocks and limitations, and we've got to clear that up. Because most people, as adults, when I work with them, and I do tell them at the end of the session, I give them these true affirmations that they are lovable, they're worthy. No one who's ever lives here, will ever live here that expresses life like you. So how you express life is your gift to this world. Many times I'll see the lip quivering, tears coming down. Their face just gets very flush. Other movements, subtle, very subtle. And then when I count them out and I'll, tell me about your experience. And then I'll ask a comment. So when I was saying those true things about you, what was going on? I felt so uncomfortable because how can that be? How can that be? It be because you're alive. It be because you're just as good as the rest of us. You're lovable, right? It's not I'm better than you.
It's such
It
a
doesn't
simple
mean
message, right? But so difficult for people to kind of wrap their heads around. I feel like we
it
take
is.
lifetimes trying to do this, and to be able to teach this to our children is such a huge gift.
And if we do not have this ourselves, how do we give it to our children? Because our children are watching. They know. They know. And so people will say, well, I'm raising my kids differently than I was raised because I learned what not to do. Yeah, that's great. There's some wisdom there. But how you function in the world, they're watching. You can tell a child something that if you're not living it with your actions and your words, they're gonna go with what they see. Because before the age of 7, we don't have the critical analytical thought. Kids are usually the smartest one in the room. That's why I say when parents come and they say, my child is really anxious and, he's wets his bed sometimes, and he's already 7 and he's got this going on. It's just so difficult. He's so difficult. And then I say, remind me why you're here again. And they list very similar things about themselves. I say, oh, okay. Why don't we work more on what you've got going on? Let's heal that. Let's transform that. And then implement this nighttime sleep talk, we can call it. It has a compounding effect. Imagine just with this process being able to build up another human being's healthy self-worth, self-esteem, self-assuredness. And now that child can go out into the world and go to school and make friends and stand up for himself if somebody tries to bully him around. Come home and tell him what mom and dad, what happened with the teacher.
So would you use the same exact technique and same language if your kids are teenagers or in their 20s?
That's a great question. Here's the best way to approach that. With a child that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13, what I do is I typically tell the parent, ask your kids permission once they get to 12, 13, 14, and say, would it be okay if I come in at night, just check on you, and say some nice things to you while you're sleeping? And be as brief as that. Don't get into anything else other than that. Chances are pretty good the answer will be yes. I mean, how nice is it to hear nice things about ourselves? They're going to be asleep anyhow. They might wake up, and if they wake up, doesn't matter the age, and like, oh, Mom, what are you doing? Or they stir a little bit. That's okay that they stir, but if they start talking, you just say, you're okay. Give them a kiss on the head and walk out, because we don't ultimately want to wake them. We don't want to disturb the sleep. Now, I was working with a 12 and a half year old girl, young girl, and her mother was sitting in sessions, and I was teaching her mother this process. And I taught her mom this away from the daughter. And then when mom and daughter were here, I said to the daughter, would it be okay if your mother came into your room sometimes at night and said really nice things to you? And the reaction, mom was sitting on the couch, daughter was standing, right next to me, and she went, it was so sweet. She turned away so that the expression on her face was towards me and not her mother. It was almost as though she was saying, please, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine. That's amazing.
I mean, imagine rolling over to your partner while they're sleeping and saying these wonderfully loving things about them, not how you feel about them. You do that when you're awake, right? About them and who they are. Even as adults, you do that. You do that every chance you get. I've seen it progress. I've seen it, some really positive results, just even with adults.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
as we wrap this up, I just want to, what can we walk away with? What are some of the things that we can walk away with? Because this is such a time of transition for all of us. We've all collectively have experienced something that none of us have experienced before. And, some of us have quite a lot of trauma that we're all dealing with, and at different levels, right? So how can families come together? I think these techniques are so amazing, but what do you think we can do each day now that there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel? I mean, I don't know if you even have any suggestions or recommendations.
I do. One is to move forward with grace, move forward knowing that your feelings are It's communication. There is no such thing as a bad feeling. There are misunderstood feelings that feel unpleasant. Anytime we have a feeling, an emotion that comes up, it is always a record of the past. Because we felt that before, the body remembers, and now we feel it in our body. And that feels unpleasant, especially because many times as we've grown in this world, to be told that our feelings are bad or wrong. Don't get angry. Don't cry. Don't you talk to me like that, right? When they're human feelings and emotions. So we learned that having these feelings and emotions are bad and wrong. They're part of being a human being. It's communication telling us we need something. We might need to feel safe in that moment. We might need to feel seen, or we matter. And so it comes out in these other ways. Know that because you're having an unpleasant emotion, that's okay. It means you're a human being. Give yourself some grace. Name the emotion. I'm feeling so angry. Okay, great. Now you have something to work with. And this actually ties into one of our last conversations we had about ameliorating unpleasant emotions and feelings. And know that you feel that because you're a human being. You need something that you don't have right now. Identify it and take a step towards that thing that you need. And I really recommend that people watch that video about ameliorating negative emotions and feelings. Do it for yourself. Please teach your kids that feelings and emotions are normal. They are natural. Because your life really is the quality of how you handle your feelings and emotions. You run from them, they will run after you for 50, 60, 70 years. They will run after you forever. See things as they are, not worse than. Moving away from catastrophizing. It's not just talk about, a puppy, a unicorn, and a rainbow, and everything will be fine. Just think positive. Just think positive. There's a benefit to that. The Mayo Clinic shows with their studies, optimists live 19% longer. They heal from colds and headaches and procedures faster. There is some real health benefit to that. But there's also toxic positivity. So see things as they are and then move forward. Don't live in the problem. Acknowledge it. Move towards the solution. Live in the solution.
That's amazing.
And this might be very new for people. So when I say give yourself some grace, give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning if you have not allowed yourself to feel feelings and emotions. And one last thing. Watch your children. Watch how they act, react, and behave. There's a lesson for you in how they act. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. They are a reflection of their environment. They will be your greatest teachers, for sure.